Hi guys, I'm Zoe Caldwell, your Lexis rep. Today we're going to cover some things I want first years to know about the research system, some things that are here for you to use to help you prepare for law school classes better, and some tools that will help you conduct better research for your brief assignments and memo assignments. So we're going to kind of go with everything right now and just touch on little pieces that I think are really helpful for different things you're working on in your first year of law school. So the first thing is obviously how to get to Lexis. And I'll just let you know that one of the best ways I find when I didn't save this website to my favorites is just to Google Lexis Law School. And if you just Google Lexis and law school, you'll get to this page. But the website is www.lexisnexis.com/law school. Sign in and you'll get to this screen. So below this, this is where you'll have the information you want as to what's going on at your school, my contact information, your student reps, and when you click on any of their names, you'll get their email addresses and different Zoom office hours that they're holding and where you can find them. If you scroll past this, you'll see some extra resources that we're giving you, but there's one in particular I want you to see, and that's when you click View All Resources. You'll see that we're providing you with some free Barbary outlines for your classes. So please check those out. I know they're kind of buried, so I take a moment to make sure you know that we've partnered with Barbary to be able to give you these outlines for free. All right, so back on the main screen, I know a lot of you have heard about the points program. Anytime you see this little diamond at the top of your screen, you can always click it and it will tell you more ways to earn points, more about your points and how you can spend them and that sort of thing. Okay, so I'm going to go on into Lexis right now by going to Lexis Plus, and we're going to quickly pull up a case. So I'm just going to type in this case citation, 124 NY 538. You can notice I didn't put any dots or periods in. I could have squished it all together. Lexis will read it, whatever, however you put it in. And I'm going to go get the case. By now, you guys have been in law school a little bit. You've probably seen these case briefs floating around on many of the cases. We don't have them for all the cases, but we're trying to add them for as many law school cases that you guys will come across. We've mirrored Quimby in a lot of these case briefs, so please use them. They're free, unlike Quimby, so we want you to have these extra case briefs that you can use to help you prepare for class. But if your case does not have a case brief, you'll notice that all cases come with this case summary, and this will really help answer some of the questions that you need to do your own case briefing. So the procedural posture tells you how this case went through the court system. It's the history. Overview is a little bit of the facts and a little bit of the legal issues, kind of like the back cover to a novel. It's just going to summarize what's going on for you. The outcome is what the judge held, and the head notes are those rules of law or main legal points, principles coming out of the case. So if you're trying to get to those rules, they're in your head notes. Now, the best way to get to the legal reasoning is to use one of these little arrows and jump down to where that head note is found in the opinion and start to read and find out, well, what are the facts surrounding that legal issue? And those facts that surround your rules, that's the legal reasoning, how the rule interacts with the facts of the case. This is the same legal reasoning that you need to use to rely on to make your memos and briefs when you're trying to use this case as precedent. So a little bit about using this case as precedent. I'll zip up to the top and show you some blue booking tips. Right at the top of the case, you'll see a copy citation filter or link. And when I click it, you guys want to click to standard, unless you're in Allwood school, and you'll know if you are. Standards for standard blue booking, and we click the word apply, and now it's applying the standard blue booking. And I just want to look at the official reporter now, unless your professors have told you to cite the long cite, and then you'll need both reporter systems. So when I scroll down here, you'll see here's the citation, and you can just copy and throw it in your memo. Now, if I'm actually in the case opinion, and I'm trying to use that piece of it that we saw, I want to throw this concept into my memo, this phrase, then I highlight it, let go of my mouse, and you'll see this box appear. And now we just go to copy and we do it again. I go to standard, just the official reporter, scroll down, and now I have that quote that I want to add to my memo or my brief, and I have the site and the pinpoint site. Now, I do encourage you guys to have your Blue Books open when you're at the beginning stages to make sure this matches what you need, but this will definitely get you going in the right direction. Attorneys use this all the time to save them time. They're not cracking open their Blue Books anymore because they feel pretty confident about their Blue Booking. So for you guys, just make a double check and make sure you're on the right track. And I'm going to X out of this. This little arrow always zips you up to the top, so know that that's here for you. And before I move on from this case, I want you to know that in this section off to the side, not only do you have a quick Shepherd's report talking to you so you can see that and use it, but I have this about this document box. Now, when I come to the bottom of this box, you'll see the legal issue trail. Now, this is a really cool feature, especially for students who are working on memos. When I activate passages, you will see these passages of text being boxed in. This is where passages of legal precedent are being discussed in your case. This is helpful for class prep because you need to find the case precedent, right? Why your case is important. So it will help you zoom in on those issues that you need to read for class, but it's also helping you zoom in on the issues that you need to make sure you pay attention to if you want to cite this in your memo. So if you're finding some of these passages really helpful to you and you want to use one of these passages in your memo, you'll know that there are a lot of other cases out there that are also citing that passage because they also found that passage reliable for case precedent and they used it as well. So if I want to know, well, what are those cases that use this case and this passage as legal precedent in their argument? Well, I just click inside the box. I know that's hard to see in this video, but if you just click inside the box, you'll find out what case your case cited, but you're also going to see the cases that cite your case for that legal issue. So you're going to get a bunch of new cases that cite your case for that legal issue. So if you are looking at that headlining leading case that you need, then you know when you found a really good passage of text, here are new cases that are citing your headlining leading case for those issues of law. So we're getting some really good cases to further our research as well. Okay, I'm going to go back now. And we're going to actually type in a search now. So this makes a lot more sense in terms of your memo assignment. So I'm going to type in a really basic search here. I'm just going to use defamation, libel, and false statements. So you can see that I've used these terms and there's nothing in between my terms. This is a really good first attempt at running a search when nothing's in between your terms. You just have different terms that you want to see in your result set. It's like running a Yahoo or Google search. Your search results will come back based on relevancy, but each term will not necessarily be in every single result. So if you want to push Lexis to have every single one of these terms in your result set, then a good connector to add is the word and. Now I'm telling Lexis, you must put defamation and libel and false statements in your results. Every single result must have each of these. Now I can actually take this up a notch and be more specific and use a /P. This stands for same paragraph, and it means I want defamation, libel, and false statements all in the same paragraph. So we really want the judge to have some discussion about these terms really close together. So we're going to get back fewer cases, but probably more on point cases when we use this approach. And I can really do any mixture of these that seems fitting. So I'm just going to put this back to and so I get more results back. And I'm going to click search. So now I'm in my search results and we're looking at cases, but I'm going to tell you one of the benefits of Lexis Plus is that we have two new databases here that we weren't able to provide before Lexis Plus. And now we're kind of bringing you more practical guidance that we have the capability to show you. These practice notes are a really good place to start your research. Now, typically we always tell students, start your research in secondary materials. But here's like a half step before that you want to quickly glance at. Look at how much fewer things come back. So it's a lot less dense than the number of things coming back at you from secondary materials. And the materials themselves are actually less dense as well, but they're coming from the leading practitioners at the leading law firms in this country. So if I want to learn more about false statements and defamation, then I can actually come on out and quickly see this in a practice note. And it'll be very direct information on the elements that I need to prove. And here are those elements, defenses I might want to think about, other things I need to think about if I were to pursue this further. And as you see along the way, it's going to start mentioning some statutes and cases that I want to take a look at as well. So there's just some elementary guidance here that really gives you a good picture of what's going on regarding this particular issue. Now, if I want to dive deeper, I can always dive deeper and go into my secondary materials, and we're going to do that next, but just know that there are some materials here hiding under practice notes that I encourage you to spend maybe 5 minutes taking a look at to see if this is what's going to help you get going. And maybe you won't even need to go to secondary materials because you have everything you need right here. But if you do need to move on to secondary materials, you want to do a thorough search, then we'll come here next. And these are the filters that I encourage you to apply. So typically you're going to want to apply the filter category and then treatises. Treatises is the number one place where you want to come, authoritative content on the law, this black and white letter of the law type of thing that you've been hearing, so you can really understand the background information. Jurisprudence are the more like Encyclopedia Britannica. They're encyclopedias on the law, your AmJurs and ALRs, and you're welcome to click these as well, but treatises for sure you want clicked. So I'm actually just going to leave it at treatises right now to keep my result set down. And I'm going to also click into jurisdiction. So you will have the option to click California, and now I'm pulling up only California treatises. But just know that when I do that, I'm missing non-jurisdictional sources. So people in Hawaii, you might want to stick to non-jurisdictional sources so you know Hawaii will come up in the discussion of this multi-jurisdictional resources that are populating. And you can always, again, select both. So now I have California and non-jurisdictional sources populating. Okay, so again, to make this easier for class purposes, I'm just going to leave it more narrowed. And now my last filter that I apply is my sources filter. Now, you know, as when you're just starting out in research, you can get to see some of these resources that are populating in your result set. And you might be familiar with some of them. Witkin, maybe you've heard of before and you've relied on that. So maybe you want to click into that because it's been helpful in the past. But perhaps now you take a look and you're like, oh, you know, defamation is a California tort. So I'm going to click into that book and see what it has to say because I bet those things are really on point. So now all of my results are coming from this book, and I can scroll down now and take a look at what's populating. And this is how I review my results screen. I take a look and I read the whole thing. Harassment, okay, intentional torts, that sounds okay. Seems a little off. Okay, this one's a lot better, right? It's talking about the elements of a defamation claim. So I might want to take a look at this one later, and I click it. And now I go on and I look at this one, qualified privilege. That one seems a little bit weird. So I'm going to move on, and I keep going until I find some more interesting things that I want to take a look at, and I can click those. And now I can actually put these into a folder if I don't have time to look at these now. Folders are really easy to use, guys, so I'm not going to take a long time showing them, but I will just say the first time you need to set up a folder, you have to click choose a folder and then create new folder, and you can name it whatever you wish and then save items to it. Now, for today, I'm just going to actually click into elements of a defamation claim so you can see it. And so this is obviously how you go into a source and check that source out. We're looking to find the elements that we need to prove. So a really good secondary source is going to tell you these elements, which this one is, right? And I can expect to scroll down and get these elements, and they're going to have a nice discussion broken down about each of these elements as well. And for each of these elements discussions, I'm going to have cases under each of these footnotes that I can jump down and see what case law that piece of context came from. So please use your footnotes to jump down and find those cases that where this discussion is coming from. Before I leave a secondary source, I always like to pop open my table of contents. That way I can really see what I'm looking at better, get a better idea of the lay of the land, and I can say, oh, wow, I really want to make sure that I look at this portion, what constitutes a defamatory statement. So if I ever find out that I'm in this secondary source and I'm not exactly in the right place, then my table of contents will help bring me to the better places. So now I can check out what constitutes a defamatory statement. Maybe my statement was made a joke or some sort of humor, and so I want to read this section on humor to see what types of statements can be made in satire and what's allowable and what isn't. So that's your table of contents for you. Okay, we're going to go back a step now, back to case law. So I'm going to switch over to case law now by going to my search results for case law. And these are the filters, again, that you want to apply. So court is really the most important. And I'm just going to click California for now. Now we're narrowing to California. So now that we're in the right jurisdiction, really, this is the box, search within results, that you want to spend the bulk of your research time on. This is the box where you get to craft your search more than just this general concept of defamation. We need to be more specific and understand how these false statements interacted with your set of facts. So maybe I put in false statements and website or internet or Facebook, right? I could even be that specific if I think I want to try that. So if we have some false statements and they've been made on the internet or websites, maybe on Facebook, then I can actually narrow this search to that concept. And that's how we get a much better restricted set of cases you want to take a look at for your memo assignment, because they have to do with your set of facts. I can always X out of this, come back in for my next set of terms and say, okay, my issue that it was meant as a joke or satire. So what kind of cases where the false statements were a joke? And I can now switch my result set, and I'm saying, oh wow, nothing has come up. So now I can go back and say, well, where was my problem? And it's when I added in this false statement here. So this is a nice search tree that populates when you run maybe a search that's not giving you the result set you like, or no results. So I can go in and edit that and change it. Okay, so now I'm going to pop open quickly my Ravel view. You're going to love this, so make sure you use this. Ravel view is pulling from the top 75 cases in your result set. And I'm showing you the most influential cases in my result set by way of these big bubbled cases. The bigger the bubble, the more influential that case is to other cases in my result set. They're relying on it as case precedent. And I can actually see the family tree of case law here. These are the cases that have been citing my case as precedent. So I definitely want to scroll over these big bubble cases and make sure I don't miss them. So if you notice up here in the how to use box, when I scroll over, you can actually see the names of these cases populating, and I can give this again another 5-minute once over and make sure I don't miss these influential cases in my research. So I'm going to actually take a look at this case right now. Click it, and wow, that case was number 50 on my list, so I might not have seen it. So this way Ravelview really helped me zero in on a case that I might have missed because it was far down on my list, and it's from the Supreme Court of California. So I'm going to come on in, and I know we've already looked at a case in detail, and I've showed you how to use your legal issue trail. Remember, that was under about this document, to zero in on those passages of legal precedent. But now we want to check to see if this case is good law, Shepard's, okay? So I'm going to look over to this box here, and you can see that this case is considered good law. Just from this report, I can see the only negative treatment here was this cautionary analysis. And that usually means that the cases, there's 5 cases out there that are saying their case is a little different, so they don't need to follow the facts of this OCON case, but they're going to go a different way, and that's okay. They're not saying the law in this case is bad. They're just saying their facts are different, so they're not going to follow this legal precedent. And if I wanted to find out, well, what exactly, how were these cases worded? How were their facts different? I can just click it. And now I'm getting those list of 5 cases, and I can go in and it says, okay, it's being distinguished on page 893, or I can just click the text and find out how their facts were different from my case and how they distinguish themselves from the OCON case. So, okay, I'm going to come back now and do one last thing with you. And I'm going to show you a case you know is bad law. Okay, so here's Plessy v. Ferguson. We know from U.S. history this is considered bad law. So when you pull open this case, now you're really going to see all those treatment signals that Lexis has. We use the traffic motif, so you'll see a stop sign. And when you see that stop sign, you want to click it. So just like we clicked on the yellow triangle, now I click on the stop sign and I'm saying, okay, why did this case give me a red stop sign? Well, it's overruling my case. That's really bad. We want to be sure we stay away from cases that are overruling the law in our case, Plessy. So there it is. Brown versus Board of Education is overruling the law of Plessy on the legal issue in this passage, which is, of course, separate but equal. Okay, now I want you guys to know that when I come back here, this orange Q, it's also not good. This means they're questioning the law in Plessy, and that's not good either. So if you're seeing this orange Q pop up, we got to check it out further and make sure they're not questioning our legal precedent in the case you want to use, because that's not helpful. Okay, so I want to go back now to the very beginning of Lexis Plus and show you a feature that's made just for law students so you don't miss it. This is separate from memos, but more for preparing for class. If you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you will see View Our Practice Centers. And we actually have created law school practice centers. They're right here for law schools. These are all the practice centers that we've created for law school courses. So if you're having some trouble in civil procedure, we have a bunch of resources that we've pulled out just to help you with civil procedure. So here are those Barbary outlines pulled out for you, some of the seminal cases that you'll read about in civil procedure law that you want to get to, some ideas that you're going to, the key concepts that you'll go over. So if you want more information on those key concepts, you need to read about them a little bit deeper. We've got all those here for you to do some quick reading on and learn a little bit more about supplemental jurisdiction. Okay, so that I'm going to show you again is just under View Our Practice Centers, and they pop right up for law schools. The last tool we're going to take a look at is this brief analysis tool. So this actually comes in when you're starting to actually write your brief or your memo assignment. You've got some things jotted down, and we can use this tool to help further your research. So I'm going to come on out to brief analysis. And I need to drag in or browse for my brief topic right now, or sorry, for my paper topic. So I'm going to come on in and upload a brief assignment. And watch what happens. It's going to go through your brief and scan it. It's going to extract citations and concepts. It's going to analyze what you've written down and give you back some case recommendations to think about and some sample briefs. Now, I'll let you know, it is important that you've written some things down. You can't just like shove in some cases on a document and let it do the work for you. You have to add some context to those cases. So a little bit of drafting needs to be done on your end so you can get back some really good extracted concepts. So it understands not only the cases that you might be putting in your document, but also the issues that you're discussing, so it can really get some better analysis done. And here are some 40 extracted concepts from that brief that I uploaded, so I can check to see, okay, yeah, this really is picking up on what I was discussing. I'm also going to see now a Shepherd's report, so I can actually get to those Shepherd's reports really easily if I haven't Shepherdized yet. But what I want to draw your attention to right now are the case recommendations. So sometimes you might be working on your brief or your memo, and you want to flush out a few of the issues a little bit better. Maybe you want to take your argument in a slightly different way. Here's how this brief analysis tool can help. It's going to show you what you drafted, and it's highlighting the actual text that you drafted. And now you can see for that portion of text you drafted, here are 5 case recommendations that Lexis has found. And we can look at these case recommendations now, and you can say, oh yeah, I've seen all these cases. And you know, okay, you've covered the ground, you've found what you needed to found, and you've probably written the best type of argument you can because you've already used these cases in the best way. Or maybe you're finding some new cases here and you're like, yeah, you know what? I want to check out this case. I didn't check it out before, and I'm going to make sure that that I use it for my brief or see if it fits. Here is another section that you don't want to miss though. When I come on over to similar briefs, now I'm actually finding some similar briefs that Lexis finds for the topic I'm writing on, and using those cases and what I've written, it's analyzing what I've done to find actual real briefs that have been filed with the court system. So this tool can actually show you some new briefs that you might want to take a look at. These briefs are obviously filed with real courts, so they're going to be valuable as a template for your legal arguments. Maybe they point out some legal arguments you haven't thought of. Maybe they help you flush out a legal argument better, or maybe just write your legal argument a little bit better. So if you come on in and you say, oh, you know what? I had some trouble understanding the cross-examination part or the harmless part of my issue. So I'm going to come on in and read this brief because I want to make sure I read the part that has to do with harmless, and I check out those arguments that are being made here. So, and lastly, just so you know, these are the citations that were from your document, so you can quickly Shepherdize them and see if anything bad law is populating or if there's any Shepherd's reports you want to take a further look at. So just to make sure you see this well, I'll go back to Lexis Plus. You can see this from the beginning. I went to brief analysis for that last feature. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope it was valuable to you. Let me know if there's anything special you want me to help you with when you're working on your brief, and I'll see you guys soon.